Hey guys, seems like this week we're specializing in ABIS, and this happens to be one from my Naughty Bucket. This is the marine version of the ABIS 7550, and there's the carcass of another victim behind us there, because I had to bust this thing open. And the reason I busted it open is because I wanted to take a chance, take an opportunity to look at some differences between active pins and passive pins and what they mean to us, because I got some bad information myself on this one. I was told that this contains all active pins. Now, what are they? Well, when you look at a regular key, you can see the pins are affected here, and it's a mirror image. It's the same on the other side, but on the opposite side of the pins, you'll notice that there's 4 little holes. There can be as many as 6, in this version anyway, and those are where the, in this case, passive pins go, it turns out. They are not active pins, and the information I had was that these are active and they had to be picked first. That didn't turn out to be the case. That caused me no end of pain. This thing does work perfectly. Open. Let's get it closed up. And let's see if we can pick this thing, and then we're going to go to the cutaway and we're going to take a little bit closer look at what the inside of the lock looks like and what the active pins and passive pins look like. Alright, a little bit of tension. I'm going to be using a diamond, and this is the first time I've ever used a diamond, and it's a total fluke. I tried using all my dimple picks. None of them seem to fit this keyway, because if you look closely, the pins are buried deep in this little valley right here. And ABIS uses this as a protection mechanism to prevent us from picking. They bury the pins and they make them set very deep in some cases, and with a normal pick can't reach that deeply into that little valley, but by a fluke the diamond can, so we're going to try to use that this time. And the diamond can go either from the right or the left. It really doesn't matter. And you'll see me probably using both. So a little bit of tension. We're going to go in. We're going to start looking for a binding pin. And I'm going to try to get us a fault set. Then we can start playing the game. Okay, we got a minor fault set. And by the way, this lock, as it turns out, is completely full, chock full of security pins, every one of them. And they're weird pins, which explains the other half of why this gave me so much trouble. While the diamond does fit, it really isn't the perfect tool. You got to fight it sometimes to get it to position. Doesn't like to go past pin 3. There we go. There we go. Alright. Got it open, thank goodness. Alright, you see that's open, blah blah blah. Let's take a look at what gives us so much trouble, and let's examine passive pins just a little bit more. Okay, before we start digging into the function of the lock itself, I want to get this out of the way. These are what the pins look like in these locks. You'll notice that we have a variety of different type of key pins. Everything from this looks like a T-pin style, And then we have these hybrid mushrooms or spool pins, like torpedoes. And this is the only standard pin on the bottom on the key pins. All of the uppers are these long spools, like I found a couple of times before in Vero locks. And that explains why it's so hard to get these things to set. The feedback is just not there. And this is just one that during the disassembly I broke it in half. It looked just like that one, except it just got caught up in the machines. Now you notice on the top here we have some more pins, and those are the passive pins. Those are what gave me trouble and caused me to screw up, quite honestly. Alright, let's take a look at the lock itself. Pretty standard. We got the lock core. We stick the lock key in like this. This used to be the pin that locked the core in place. Obviously I had to take that out. And then when we turn the key, you can see this top one, again I machined that off, but when it turns, it unlocks. You can see the pawl here pulling back. The locking pawl is painted in red, pulls it away from the cutout, and then of course in this case it will open. Alright, let's take a look at the core now. This is the really interesting part. Okay, the normal key pins line up here, and we're not going to worry, I'll get that to focus. We're not going to worry too much about those. You've already seen them. The interesting part is on the other side. Now we have a total, looks like 7 pins here, 7 possible positions, and if you recall, it's in the first 3 and then the last one. So let's just, for the heck of it, stick these in here, and this is how, oops, this is how they'll line up. There's the first 3, and we're going to hold back that 4th one. And you see when we have no key, it doesn't matter. They're completely flush. We don't need to pick them. We don't need to do anything with them because they're perfectly aligned. The only way we could possibly screw up is in the process of picking the lower pins. We bump those into position and we force them up out of position, and then that's what you would end up with. These are really for key control. And had I known they were passive, they wouldn't give me nearly as much trouble. Let's just drop one in the 4th position. We know this is the right key. So we stick it in there, and you notice it lines up perfectly with the first 3. But for example, if we tried to make a bump key out of the key that didn't come from this lock, we wouldn't be able to bump it because one or more of these positions, the little the tip would be sticking up, and it would be fitting into this little groove. You can see it's a little V cut out here in the top of the cylinder. So if any one of those 7 pins doesn't have a cutout on the key, it's going to stick up here and it will not allow us to rotate that core. So that's what passive pins are for. These are not active pins in this lock. So anyway, there you go, fellas. A little bit of a refresher on active pins versus passive pins. Thanks for listening. Everybody stay safe and stay legal. Get yourself one of these locks. It's a good pick.